Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this beautiful Dreaming of Diamond team call. We're going to learn how to expand our network with my dear, very new Kona friend. And FYI, she got engaged while we were there. So she snuck up to me at breakfast the day after it happened and told me all the deeds. So I can't wait for you to meet Corinne. All right, I'm going to do speaker view, baby. And here we go.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you so much, Sadie, for having me. Yes, we just met in September, became fast friends, and she's super, super sweet. And that's what I love, like just in Plexus and everything, like different teams getting together. And I totally encourage you guys to like step out of your team a little. I'm always telling my team, like, go go to gold school, go do this, like go into the ambassador community page and talk to other people and make other connections. You're never, like all the other people out there that are just like you that maybe are, at the same place, like rank wise and or life wise, that you can become friends with and can become like running partners with. And it's nice when they're not on your team, because it's not like that, like sort of resentment, like, oh, well, I'm helping you and you're not helping me and all that. It's like totally separate. So I always love like making new friends through Plexus. And people that are at the same place I am in the business, and we go through the same struggles and all that. So let me first tell you a little bit about my story. So I actually grew up in Ohio, and after I went to Ohio State and I got married, and I went to Ohio State. I was a teacher. I got my master's degree in education, so I was a middle school English teacher for about 11 years. I got married, and we actually moved out to South Dakota. So I lived in South Dakota for about 6 years and was a teacher there. And I have two daughters, had my children in South Dakota. And then I was kind of over it. And I said, we need to either move back to Ohio where our family is, or I want to move down south where it's not so cold. And I didn't even really care which, like whatever comes first. And so my husband at the time, he applied for this job in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and he got it. And I'm like, oh my God, we've never even been to Louisiana, which we had never been to South Dakota either. Like when I moved there, it was the first time I'd ever stepped foot in the state. And he said, I can't, it's like career suicide to not, to get offered a job and not take it. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, we're moving to Louisiana. Middle of the school year, I left with two little kids, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And we moved down south to Baton Rouge, and that's where I live still now. So when I moved, I actually decided to stay at home. So I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years, and that's when I kind of found Plexus. I did not know my upline. I actually met her at the mall here. We were both shopping, and we both had little kids, and she looked nice, and we started talking like in a children's store, Gymboree. I think they've all closed now, but I used to be a huge Gymboree person. And sat down, started talking to her, and we became friends. And I don't know, maybe like a year later, she contacted me and said, hey, I'm like, have you heard of Plexus? Which I hadn't. She hadn't even posted on Facebook or anything. And she said, well, I kind of started this thing. It's like health, supplements. And I'm like, well, my problem was I have thyroid issues, and I've been on Synthroid or levothyroxine since I was 14, and I'm 44. So, I mean, at the time, I guess I was only 35, 36. And I'm like, I don't know. I've looked into weight loss stuff before, and I've never been able to take anything because they just don't let you if you have thyroid issues. And so I've never been able to take anything. She's like, well, my husband's a pharmacist. Why don't you talk to him? And I was like, oh, okay. So talked to him, and he, told him what he was on. And he's like, this is not going to interfere with anything. Your issue is more your thyroid medication. You don't want to take anything when you take that. Mm-hmm. So you want to take that first thing in the morning and then wait like an hour or so. But then, talk to your doctor. So I went to my doctor. She said it was fine, told me about to wait an hour. And I know there's kind of controversial if you have thyroid issues. Information out there. Some doctors will say wait 30 minutes. Some will say wait 4 hours. I wait about an hour, and I'm not even really like really specific with it at all. But I always go every 6 months and get my levels checked. In fact, I'm going Wednesday, so in 2 days, and usually everything's always good. So it's no problem. So she was like, great, sign. She's like, I need you to sign up. She was trying to go fast start gold. And back in the day, you had to do it in 30 days and have 20 people. And I would have been her 20th person. And I was like, oh, I'm like, well, I am not selling anything. Like, I was a stay-at-home mom. My ex-husband, he is like the CEO of a bank. Like, I mean, we were fine. Like, there was no need to like do anything. And I'm not never working the business ever. Don't ask me to. And she said, okay. So she actually put me under her husband because I wasn't going to work the business. And took the products. I liked them. I actually lost like 17 pounds, and I really didn't have, I mean, knock on wood, I didn't really have like any health issues. I mean, everybody always wants to lose a little weight at least. And then other than like my thyroid, and that was pretty much under control with the medication, I was fine. But I took the stuff, I liked it. You know, it did give me more energy and all that kind of good stuff. So it was about 6 months later, she kind of started bugging me about selling it. And I was like, oh, Lordy. But at the same time, it's kind of good timing because my kids were both at that point, both about to be in school. And my husband then was kind of like, well, are you going to go back to teach? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was part of the plan. And he's like, well, you know, it would be nice if you could make like $1,000 a month at least, just to, you know, so we just have like extra money that like, you know, I like to shop, like I am, you know, a spender. And so I was like, okay. And he's like, why don't you try that? Like, you know, what do you think about that plexus thing? I'm like, you know, I guess I could. He's like, well, listen, Amaya, my youngest, didn't go to kindergarten for another like year and a half. And so you have a year and a half to try, you know, to get to make like $1,000 a month. What, you know, before you need to go back and teach or sub or come up with something to do. I'm like, okay, I'll try plexus. So I wasn't all in at first, for sure. I wouldn't even post on Facebook. I like I say, like I feel like I made all the mistakes. So I always tell like, my team, I'm like, don't do this, don't do this, don't like I did all the wrong things. I came up with this email and I sent it. I picked 30 people, and this email was so long, you guys. And it was like, and you can earn a Lexus. Okay, I knew no one that had a Lexus, mind you. Like it was just like it was just so obnoxious. And I sent it out, and I had I had 3 people that actually got back to me from this email. I was kind of shocked. One girl, 2 were teachers that I had worked with in South Dakota. One asked me for ingredients. Well, I didn't know any ingredients from anything. And so I found on Google, no joke, a PDF that was 12 pages long. Apparently, it was all the ingredients and Plexus products. So I just sent her the PDF because I had no clue. And then the other girl, she kind of asked me questions, but then she just never bought anything. So no, it was just those 2. And then I had another friend who I had messaged, and like she would message me about other stuff, but never would bring. I'm like, didn't she see this Plexus message? Like, I'm so confused, but I sort of let it go. And so I kind of was like, man, I just don't know. I just don't think this is my thing. But I did sign up my brother and my sister. So my brother was actually my very first ambassador, and my sister was my second one. And then I just like sent out these messages, and I'm like, I just don't know. And I wouldn't post on Facebook. I was so embarrassed and self-conscious and like all the things that it was just not going to happen. And then that girl that I was friends with in high school, and I had sent the long message to, and she would message me about other stuff. She messaged me and she said, hey, are you still doing that Plexus thing that you messaged me about in October? And I was like, well, yeah. She's like, well, tell me about it. Okay. Like I kind of knew nothing about it. Like I wasn't doing this. And so I told her what I was taking. I'm like, this is all I know. This is what I'm taking. And she's like, okay, well, I'll order it. And I'm like, oh my God, you will? And she's like, yeah, I'll just order it. Do you have a website? I'll order as a customer. I'm like, okay. And so she was like my first ever customer, and she got it in and she started taking it, and she like within 4 days, she loved it. She had like a huge Diet Coke addiction, huge. And she was a school teacher in Michigan, and she loved it so much. And she called me. She's like, this, I haven't had a Diet Coke since the first day I started this. I'm like, seriously? And she's like, yep. And so she's like, well, you said something about getting it cheaper, being an ambassador. I'm like, well, yeah. She's like, how do I do that? I'll do that. Okay. So she was my third, and she actually signed up. I remember it, January 25th, 2014. because I remember that because 1 year later, January 25th, 2015, I went emerald. Like, how crazy. So she and I went to high school together. She's actually a sapphire now. She and I went to high school together. And what happened was she got it and she started posting on Facebook. Now, I am like competitive. And I was like, well, wait a second. Like, I kind of figured out how it worked. And I was like, she's going to take all my. And she and I actually went to high school together. We went to college together and we were in the same sorority. And I was like, she's going to take all the people. Like, I think I have to post. So that made me start posting. One other integral part of my journey is to, if you ever have somebody who you really believe in and think would be awesome and they quit, like, still be friends with them, still talk to them, because I had a girl I went to college with, graduate school with, and she was a teacher in Ohio, and she was a customer of mine. In that March of 2014, she March of 2014. Let's see, 2014, 2015. Yes. In March of 2014, she was a customer and she had just had her third baby. And she was like, called me and she's like, listen, Corinne, like, I'm not even drinking this. Like, I mean, it tastes good, but I'm so tired. I have 3 little kids. Like, I think I'll try it again, but like, I'm not trying it. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, there's a 60-day money back guarantee. Like, I did not want to lose a friend. Like, that's like, and I'm still like that. Like, I just had somebody get the 60-day money back, use the 60-day money back guarantee on the reset. She did one day and she's like, hated it. And I was like, okay, well, we get our money back, because I never will let like plexus like come in between a friendship. So anyways, I got her money back. And then I kind of stayed friends with her and whatever. Obviously, we were talking. And it's funny because that summer I knew she'd be good. Do you ever have people like you just know, like they would be good, like they have that or something? I visited her that summer in July in Ohio. And because obviously I was living in Louisiana, I always went up to Ohio because my family still lived there. Visited her. We went to the park with another friend of ours that we went to graduate school with, and we were all sitting around. And Julie said, Corinne, are you still, or tell Allison, was the other girl, tell Allison about that stuff you're doing. And I'm like, well, like, and I still was like very, like, I've gotten so much more bold. I mean, I will tell anybody now, but and I was like, you mean plexus? And she's like, well, yeah, tell them what it does. Tell her what it does. Tell her. So I kind of talked, and then Julie kind of took over. Well, then I went home a few weeks later. I'm like, Julie, I really feel like maybe you should do this. And she's like, okay, I think I'm ready. So she actually signed back up, or she signed up. Like, first she was a customer, returned the product, signed up, back up. She was nursing, and so she was like, can I still do this? I'm like, yep. And she's like, I'm gonna have to like post on Facebook and make money, because her husband's a teacher. She was a teacher, but she was off at the time. She's like, there's no way I can afford to do this for more than 1 month. And so I said, okay. I'm like, we'll post on Facebook, and she had some people like contact her, and she kind of got overwhelmed. I'm like, listen, like, you just get them signed up. Like, I will keep track of this, because that's when like Fast Star Gold and all that stuff was really big. And like, the girl is a diamond now. So she's a level 1 diamond. She actually went Fast Start Senior Gold that month. Like, she signed like 56 people or something. It was crazy. So my business definitely took off like that. But what I found, and why I like talking about expanding your network so much, is because I kind of in the beginning signed people I was in those areas of my life. Like Christina, who's like level 1 sapphire, like we went to high school together. Then we went to Ohio University I was there for 2 years, and we were in the same sorority. So it's like we had such the same people. And then Julie, who was really big, she and I went to graduate school at Ohio State together. And then like, we had that whole people as Ohio State people as our friends. And I thought, if I don't get more friends, because I only have like 300 Facebook friends, they're going to like take all the people. Like, I need to like, because they always said, you got to build wide. Like, you want business builders, of course, but you also need to build wide. So I just decided to really focus on getting more Facebook friends. And so, and I don't really do Instagram or TikTok. Like, it's very intimidating to me, and very like, I need to, but I can say like, I've totally built my business through Facebook for sure. 98% of the people. what I got really big into, and I really think that you've got to do this, is getting in some groups. And you don't have to be in a lot. Like, I think that was the problem too, is like some people, like people think, oh, I've got to be in like 15 different groups. Well, it's like you kind of like want to get like known in a sense, like in the group. So like I say, like pick like 3 different things you're interested in. And that's the other thing, is because I've talked to my team about this, and like when people aren't going to do it and why, and they don't know what kind of groups, like you've got to be interested in it, and you've got to be something you kind of want to talk about too. Otherwise it like really seems like a hassle, you know. And your groups can change. One of my newest ambassadors, I'm in a group, like I have 2 teenage daughters, and now I'm engaged, and he has 2 teenage daughters. So we're like about to build a house together and have a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and 16-year-old, all girls together. So I'm in a group for moms of teenage girls that drive us crazy. That's literally the name of the group. I was like, I found out, I'm like, oh my God, this isn't for me. And like, I just signed a lady from in there because I like read for my own personal life and knowledge. But then I always try, and I try to go in the groups. I used to, I mean, I have more time now. I mean, the kids are at school all day, whatever, but I notice even in the summers, like I don't go every day, but I try to at least go twice a week. So depending on your schedule, you just have to do it. Like you just have to come up with a schedule and do it. But now I try to go like 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes in a group a day. And I read for my own knowledge, but then I like to like reply to people, but like ask them questions. Like, don't just be like, oh, that's awesome. You know, like actually, and it's helpful if you know what you're talking about or you actually need help. And then I friend them all. Like, I don't really care. Like, I literally friend, like, if I ask a question or something like that, I will, anybody who answers, like, I'll reply to them and then I friend them. And I try to come up with a reason to message them. You know, sometimes that's hard and that takes time and practice, like doing, but at least friend them, get them to accept your friend request. And if you're posting about Plexus, and if you're posting, you know, in your stories and all of that, which is obviously very vital to do, and you're also posting about your life, you know, if you go to my page, it's all public. And I have a variety. I mean, I don't post about Plexus every day. I don't post about my kids every day. I really try to do a good variety, but I'm also very open. And you know, when I went through the divorce, like all of Facebook knew. Like when I bought my first house, like after I got divorced, like I had pictures of me crying on Facebook. Like I was really open with it. I went through, after I got divorced, like I dated two different guys, like long term, like over a year and a half each. That didn't work out. Like it was, I mean, I feel like people like feel for me, you know? And then I met Chris, and like we've been together for like 3.5 years, and then he finally proposed. And I literally do feel like there's people that have never met me, but I like to tell stories, and I like to really put it out there. But it, like I said, in the beginning, I was never posting a thing. Like, so becoming bold, but I think, you know, has been a huge part of it. And like reading books, like if you don't, and I don't like to read, and which is very bizarre because I was an English teacher, mind you. But I like to listen to Audible. Like I used to love to read. I swear I must have, right? Because I was like teaching reading, but now I don't read. But I listen to Audible all the time. So that is a huge thing. And like you just got to get more friends. Like it's a numbers game too. Like it really, 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 really is. So like figure out like things you like. I mean, and I'm in, for a while there, I was obsessed with, and like I change groups a lot. Like not, you know, you can't change every week. You know, you got to kind of like make yourself known in there. Like if you're posting in there once, twice a week, you're commenting, people will see your name, and like then when you send them a friend request, they're more likely to accept. But like there's things I liked a few years ago that I'm like, I'm not as into anymore. So I don't follow those groups anymore. But those people are still my Facebook friends. But just think of like anything in your life. You know, obviously I'm in the thing about teenage girls. And I think the more specific it is, the better. Just because you'll meet people with common interests, because then you become friends with them, and then they want to do what you're doing, and then it kind of like helps the friendship too, because you can talk about the things you have in common, but then you're also talking about Plexus, and then, oh my God, wouldn't it be so cool if you came to like we're going to Nashville in June and we could totally meet and hang out. And like I have a girl that I just signed, well, she signed maybe a year ago, and I finally got her to post, and she's doing so well. And she's from one of the groups I'm in, and I just adore her. And I mean, we message each other every day, and I know like everything about her life now. And she's like, we have to meet up in Nashville at convention. I'm like, we sure do, sweetie. Like, it's like funny. Like sometimes you get to a point where they almost like say the things you're like, yes, like I like groomed the person just for this. So it's like it's weird because I always think like it's such a numbers game. You want to have get as many people in Facebook friends as you can, so all your stuff reaches them. But then you don't have to sign like 100 people. Like, yeah, you want to be wide, but it doesn't take that many level ones really work. I mean, honestly, like I really feel like if I looked at my downline report, like I have maybe 6 level ones that post regularly. 6 in 9 years. So like, and if you ask most jewels that, I bet they would say about the same. Like, so it just takes a few integral people who see the vision and want to do it and then go for it to get where you want to be. But you know, that vision can be hard. One of the problems I know one of my girls has is she's like, well, I feel bad like posting, you know, that Plexus, what did she say? Oh, like her son was playing football. Plexus like paid for us to like go to this special football camp or whatever. I'm like, why? She's like, well, I just feel like I'm like bragging. I'm like, who cares? Like, I just don't care. Like, I will post anything. I don't care because I look at other people that have some things that I would like. And I'm like, well, how did they get that? Like, they're just a same 40, almost 45-year-old mom as I am. Like, what did they do? You know? So like, I think the times are so different now than maybe they were 20 years ago, where people don't necessarily talk about money. The people don't, you know, talk about like all their things and whatever. And so it's such a mindset shift. But I think that also comes from like listening to Audible and listening to books about network marketing and realizing like it's really an awesome business practice. It's really like, you know, a good thing. And all like the negative people, those just aren't your people. Like they just aren't, you know. So my expanding my network is like really, I think it's easy because it's just on Facebook. You just have to friend people. Like you have to get in, find 3 groups. I have a girl, Amber, and she's like, I'm just not interested. She's like, I work all the time. I have my kids. And I'm like, what's something you just like? Like something you just like always see, you look for when you go places. She's like, well, I guess I really like lighthouses. And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I bet there's other people that like lighthouses. She's like, really? And I'm like, yes, because for a while there, I was really into plants. Oh my God, the number of groups out there for plants is amazing. I mean, although I got overwhelmed, I was like, I'm going back to my fake plants because I can't deal with all the people. But like, there's groups for everything. And so we started looking at lighthouse groups, and there was like lighthouse groups for light. And she's in Michigan, like Michigan people who love lighthouses. Like, I'm like, there is a group for everything. And I don't care if there's only 100 people in the group. If the group's even somewhat active, that's great. Like, get yourself known, get a few friends in the group. It can be like if you like clothes. I like clothes and shopping and jewelry. That's where I get so many of my people. Like different like boutique groups, different brands of things. There are groups for everything. So just search them out, find some, and then like write down the name of it, and then like try to stick to one for a while and like see how it goes. Like I said, like, you know, make comments, ask questions, make your own posts. And like I always find that post with a picture, even on your regular, I mean, you probably have seen this too, on your regular personal Facebook page, when you put a picture, especially a selfie, picture of you, picture of your kids, it's going to get more attention than any kind of, you know, perfectly laid out Plexus marketing picture. I always say, if you're going to post about ProBio, hold up a ProBio and take your selfie, even if it's like it's not going to be perfect. Great, you want to be relatable. Like it doesn't need to be perfect. It's way better than Plexus's perfect little pictures of ProBio. The other thing that I do, and this isn't on expanding your network, but just as a tip, because I always tell like my new people who want to work the business, I'm like, one day when you're feeling really good about yourself, you got your makeup done and you just feel good, whatever products you have, like take them, hold them, take selfies with individual, with the set, all that, so you have them. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I've got a whole folder on my phone of pictures because I mean, there's days like we're not going to brush our hair. I mean, I work from home. I don't care. Like, and right now I live alone just with my two girls. Like, doesn't matter. So, I just feel like, do that, prepare yourself for when you're super busy or you're on vacation or you're a nurse and you're working a 12-hour shift and it's like you can't post, or you're a teacher or whatever, like that you have the pictures. But same thing in Facebook groups, I always find that pictures like will get so much more attention. And I even told the girl, I'm like, you pass a lighthouse, like take a selfie with the lighthouse in the background and like be pointing to it. I know you feel stupid doing it, but like it'll get more, like they all have seen lighthouses. Like it'll get more views that you did that. And I also think it's because like not everybody like likes to, I mean, nobody really likes to take selfies, but like I think people look at people who like take selfies and are willing to put themselves out there, especially once you're like 40, 50, you know what I mean? Like all of life has happened and they're like, wow, like she has like confidence to do that. And like, isn't that awesome? And like, and they want to follow you because of that. They want to like know you because of that, because people like being around people that are positive, that are confident, that are bold. And I mean, that was something I did not have when I started. So that is definitely a learned thing that everyone can acquire, but just takes time. I mean, look, 9.5 years, I've been doing this, reading tons of books or listening to them as I do. And getting on trainings. Like I listen to a lot of like people that I like on other teams. I'm not like on a big team. We're not under, I don't know, you're probably under Celeste. Like we're not under the Celeste wing. When I went diamond, this is how like we're out in the middle of nowhere. When I went diamond, the next diamond above me was Sheila Medina and I was her 12th level. So there were 12 or 11 people between us, no diamonds. And she was up there and I really still only know now there's 2 diamonds like above me, but I don't even know the people above her. I don't think they do plexus anymore. I don't even know who they are. So like I never got help. That's why I say when I like Googled PDFs of ingredients, I totally did because I didn't have like uplines helping me. My direct upline and I worked together, but we had nobody above her helping us ever. And I started the July 31st. She started July 4th. So, I mean, it was the same month. So it's definitely doable. It's awesome. I love it. I mean, I think it's like the best thing ever. And I mean, it like saved my life. Like, I mean, like not like financially. I mean, when you think of my situation and then like I, got divorced, I don't know, like 3 months after I went diamond, he moved out. So like, I mean, it's sort of a sad story, so I won't get into it because I'll start crying. But like what would I have done? Like if I was like a teacher, I mean, I actually stayed in our house like for 3 years after that. And he like moved out and stuff. And then I was, able to really like continue my life because of that. And I just like I think of it like, oh my God, I just don't even know and obviously like I was already successful at it when I went through my divorce, but like I do try to help people who are like, I mean, I'm in like a single moms group and I've signed so many single moms. Like, okay, I mean, my story is a little different because I had success when I was still married and then got divorced. But I mean, I still like, know all the emotions and feelings that go, and I'm the best listener ever and can give advice, but I can also like this way saved me and like you keep working your job, but let's work on this on the side and see where it can take you. Because it only takes you finding, I'm telling you guys, like 2 or 3. I mean, we'll start with one person that like sees it and takes off, and then it'll motivate you. Just like when Christina started posting, I was like, oh, hell no, she's not taking all the high school people. Like, I'm doing this. And so, and like, I mean, she changed my life, and then when Julie came back, like, I mean, I feel like I owe them everything and they feel like they owe me everything because one of them still teaches, the other one never went back. So like, it's a beautiful thing when it works. And the only way for it not to work is if you quit, and I know it gets hard. I know it gets hard because and personally, I know I'm over my time, but personally, I mean, I've had times, I always tell people this, like it gets so hard that there's like, I can't quit. Like, this is literally like, I don't have any second income like whatsoever. I mean, I do get a little bit of child support, but it's like nothing to live on whatsoever. And like, I have, like, when it gets hard and I don't want to post on Facebook and I don't, like, I have no choice but to keep doing it. And there's been times where I'm like, I'm sick of being like Positive Polly on Facebook. I'm sick of like posting in my groups. Like, can I just take a break from it? Well, sure you can. And you're gonna like lose rank this month, and you're not, and once you're the leader of these people, and if they see you not doing the things, like, you were a teacher, you have to model the behavior that you want to see. And it works for kids, but it works for adults too, because, like, I mean, I had some rough, my mom had to move in with me when I split up because I barely could get out of bed for about 4 months. So, I mean, I've been through the ringer with it, but I just had to keep going. And even to this day, I always think, like, it does get hard. And I can see sometimes when people quit because it gets so hard, and if they don't really need the money, but it's all the extras are so worth it. And I've stuck around for so long because I love all those extras and I love all the people I've met. And I like felt like I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So you kind of have to like find that like passion and get go, and an accountability partner. I mean, that always helps. Someone that will come on my upline when I was not getting out of bed. She was like, Corinne, you got to post. I'm coming over. We're going to come up with some posts for the week. Because, I mean, I was like a mess. Like, I mean, so finding those people, sometimes people find them right away, and sometimes it takes, a long time to find them, but you definitely won't find them if you quit. So keep going, and getting on these calls, I think, is so good too. Because look at, I probably at one point, I know we used to have 75 people on our calls, and now, I just did our team call and we had like 13, I think. So, but you know what? Those girls that are still on there, they're chucking along, and they're like lifers, and I love that. So, all right. Are there questions? I'm sorry. I just ramble, especially if I don't have like a little outline to follow.
Okay. Well, can we just all just acknowledge how transparent and amazing you are? I think that is such a beautiful value.
Oh, thank you.
We've had people, I don't know if you've noticed, we've had people out, like jumping in, jumping out. I felt like I looked like I was acting like a spaz a little bit, but does anyone have any questions? I'm actually going to stop recording.